it's Ridiculous here, and welcome to my review of Transformers Legacy Evolution Voyager Class Metalhawk. Now, when this guy was revealed, I had no intention of picking this up. I had no idea who this character was. All I knew was he was a retool of Kingdom Cyclonus, which is a figure that I acknowledge how amazing it is, but it's a figure that just bores the hell out of me. I don't really like it very much. And I just did not really have obviously I didn't really care about this thing whatsoever when it was revealed. But after people got it and I started seeing some reviews of it, I saw the transformation a few times and how they changed up a lot of things in the transformation, and I thought the figure actually looked pretty cool. And then eventually, after I saw a couple of reviews, I think I watched MGo's review, That Toy Guy's review, Prime vs. Prime's review, and Patriot Prime's review. And after I watched those 4 reviews, I decided that I wanted to get this guy, but I didn't want to spend, I wanted to get him, but, if you buy something on BBTS, but you only buy, one thing, you have to pay the shipping for it. So it ends up being a lot more than the normal retail price, so it's hard to justify it if you're only buying one thing. So it took me a while, but I went to Target a couple days ago, and I actually saw him there on the shelf, along with a bunch of Tarns. So if you're looking for Tarn, I saw a bunch of them at my Target, so your Target might have some as well. But after seeing this guy on the shelf, I decided to grab him. And oh my god, I am so glad I decided to grab this guy because, oh dear god, I love this figure so fucking much. Oh my god, this is actually one of my favorite Legacy figures so far. Seriously, this in every way blows Cyclonus out of the water for me. I struggle to say he's a better figure than Cyclonus, although I do think there is a few things about him that is superior to Cyclonus. But I tell you what he is over Cyclonus, he's so much more fun than Cyclonus. Where Cyclonus was such a boring figure with one accessory and so little to do with him, even having kind of weak posability as well, and a transformation that admittedly is very clever, but not 100% fun to do in my opinion. Since the tolerances were so tight on that figure, it was such a pain in the ass to get his legs to work in my opinion, and also, I don't know, and even the way that the torso piece worked, it was kind of clashy and you had to do it in a very specific order, and I never really enjoyed that transformation all that much, and I never really found myself wanting to do it over and over again. This guy completely fixes it, in my opinion. Now, again, I struggle to say that he's actually better than Cyclonus. Again, in some ways, I do think he is, but probably if you had no interest of getting this guy and you love your Cyclonus unlike me, I don't think this guy will overpass him, but he absolutely does for me. But before we get into his review, let's take a quick look at the box, because I do still have the box. There's a picture of his absolutely glorious jet mode, which we will talk about. Oh, don't you worry. Transformers Generations on the back. You have a bunch of product shots right there. On the side, you have another picture of him in his robot mode and a close-up of one of my favorite head sculpts in all of the Transformers. And with that, let's jump into this figure, and let's just start off with this freaking head sculpt. Oh my god. I love this head sculpt. This head sculpt is so goddamn awesome. I absolutely love this freaking head sculpt. It gives me vibes of Power Rangers or Voltron or Thundercats. Now, I don't know if it gives anybody else a Thundercats vibes, but it really gives me Thundercats vibes. Back when I was a kid, my father was a fan of Thundercats, and he had a couple of DVDs from it, and I think it was only the first 4 episodes, but I watched those over and over and over again. I have never seen anything past the first 4 episodes, but I watched the first 4 episodes 100 times when I was a kid. But yes, I love everything about this head sculpt. The bright blue eyes, the nice silver for the face. I love the gold helmet. I love especially these little things right here sticking off of his helmet. Oh my god, I love this head sculpt so much. There is just something about this head sculpt that just looks infinitely cooler to me than almost any. This honestly may be absolutely top 3 favorite Transformers head sculpt. I'm not gonna say that it's my favorite of all time because I'm not thinking right now, but it honestly, it might be. And then moving down to the color separation on this guy is just immaculate. I love these big red punching colors right here, some really nice gray right here. I love this gold on the torso. That is just gorgeous. Some nice bright red right there and some nice silver on there as well. So freaking nice. The back, absolutely no kibble whatsoever. whatsoever, and you do have his big ass wings here, and his wings are made of super strong plastic. And speaking of that, this figure is absolutely phenomenal in the quality department. No loose floppy joints whatsoever. I will say that if you give him a good enough shake, his legs will move ever so slightly, which is ever so slightly less than which is ever so slightly more than Cyclonus's will move. Cyclonus won't move regardless of how much you shake him. You can shake that, you can put that thing in a paint shaker and he'll still be in the exact same pose that you had it in. But this guy, if you shake him a little bit too much, just a little bit too much, you can see there is a tiny little leg wobble, but it's so inconsequential. For all intents and purposes, the tolerances are perfect. And talking about the posability, it is a little bit lackluster. He does only have 90-degree bends, and it would have been so much better if he had a little bit better than 90-degree bends, because he has a bunch of weapons, and you would have been able to do a lot more with his posability. But it is pretty good. He does have a wrist swivel that is a little bit difficult to use, because you can use the transformation joint to get some inward on the movement, and this will allow you to like get some like sword wielding wrist, because you can like rotate the arm this way, and it will give him some sword wielding wrist if you want to, but you can only like rotate them when it's like here. You can only like rotate them when it's like here, and if you like bring it out, it's weird. It's just a little bit weird, because right here, you can't rotate it because all this stuff is in the way. So it's kind of a weird wrist swivel, but he does have it, and he does have some big open gaps right there in the thing, which I don't like. Maybe we can get an upgrade kit for that. I would really like that. And then his legs, so if you want to have his sculpt not get hit, it's the exact same as Cyclonus. If you don't want his sculpt to look weird, he only really has like that much bend, so a little bit less than 90, but you can, of course, if you're okay with having this big ass gap in the leg right there, you can get it back pretty much all the way. So we can get a lot of poses, and you can also use that to your advantage if you want to give this guy some more height. You can just bring these up on these and give him a little bit more height and make his legs a little bit longer. And on that note, one thing that I absolutely love about this figure in comparison to Cyclonus is that he actually has a very subtle little thoop in this thing. It's very subtle, but this is not something that Cyclonus had, and it gives you some actual real feedback on where the legs is supposed to be. There is just a very subtle little thoop in there that really helps you find where the leg is supposed to be. This is not on Cyclonus. I checked and I double checked. It is not on Cyclonus. It is a very tiny little indicator of where to position the legs on this figure, and I absolutely love that in this guy, man, so much. Finishing off the posability, he does also have some ankle pivot, and then the head is on the same kind of a joint that Cyclonus was, where it's on this little weird one, but his head is a little bit bigger and a little bit, well, not bigger than Cyclonus. Cyclonus' head is fucking huge, but it's not as well articulated. He does not have as much articulation in the head as Cyclonus does, although he does have a very nice head tilt right there, so you can get a little bit of that, and if you like rotate it to the side, you can get quite a bit of expressiveness in there. And also, if you want to, you can angle these wings back a little bit to give him that look as well, which I personally really like. I think that this looks really cool with these like wings like flared out back there. Super awesome. But with that, speaking of super awesome, let's talk about this guy's accessories, because first off, you get two little guns right here. Now, these are Blastific compatible as far as I can tell right there, and they look, it's the boring gray, but at least they look pretty darn cool. Like the sculpting looks pretty darn cool, and you can give these to him right there. So you can either give him one, or you can give him both, and he can dual wield them, or you can actually combine them together and give him this gun right here. And he also includes a sword right here. Now again, could have used some more paint. I definitely would have liked some silver on the blade and maybe some gold down there, and the hilt would have been really cool. But you do get this sword. It plugs in his hand very securely. Like seriously, it goes in there really securely. And like I said, you can kind of fake a sword wielding wrist on this guy by like rotating this around, and this is where it gets kind of weird, because the sword makes it really hard to like turn the wrist and then move it, and then you have to plug it in. So you have to finagle it a bit, but he does have some nice sword wielding wrists right there if you want to. So this sword is really cool in my opinion. I really like it. Again, it could have used some paint, but it is really cool. And I really love Transformers that have both a gun and a sword because it gives you so much more playability options. One of the problems with Cyclonus was there was nothing fun to do with him. All he had was that one gun, and it was a boring gun, and that was all you could do. I guess you could flip his hands around and give him those Mega Blasters, but it was a boring figure. This guy is anything but boring. And he has phenomenal weapon storage. So check this out. Obviously the sword, as you expect, probably can just store on the back right there. And you can either have it just straight down, because the way it is, it's actually like this weird like rectangle peg that goes into this hexagonal peg, and it can either go straight down, or it can like click to one side or the other side right there, which is really cool. And then the guns, this is maybe one of my favorite things about this figure. The guns literally have this dedicated spot on the legs where you can tab them into the legs, and it literally like contours into the legs right there, and you can store these here. And this literally makes him look cooler. This literally makes him look cooler. I love the way that these look on his legs, and they don't look bad. Like, comparing them, it doesn't look bad. So you can easily just give him one of the guns, leave the other one on his legs, then maybe give him the sword right here. It's absolutely amazing. The playability on this guy puts Cyclonus to shame. He is so much fun and just so much more interesting. There's so much more life to this figure. Like, just look how cool this guy looks, man. And real quick before we continue, I gotta talk about something. After falling so in love with this figure, I had to learn about this character. I didn't know anything about this character originally. I had to learn about him. And so I looked up some things about him and found out some very interesting and awesome things about this character. This dude was the leader of the Autobots in a Transformers anime. In an old Transformers anime that a lot of you probably never even heard of. And he was a pretender. And in that show, I kid you not, this dude would literally turn into a human. He was literally disguised as a human. And he lived like a human life on the side, dude. Talk about having two lives, dude. Holy shit, what an awesome character. Metalhawk might be one of my favorite Transformers character of all time, thanks to this toy and me learning very little about that. And also, he was in the IDW comics as well, and he played a very cool part in there where he befriended Starscream, and then he got kind of betrayed by him. It's really cool. If you want to know more, go ahead and look it up. But this character, I love him. I might even at some point try and watch his old show, because oh my god, the concept of a Transformer disguising as a human and living like a normal life. I think the dude, I don't know 100% because I haven't seen the show at this point, but again, I might watch it at some point. But I think he like owned a business or something. Like he became like the CEO of a fucking corporation or something. I don't know, but it's fucking awesome. Metalhawk is the coolest motherfucking robot since Tarn, dude. But with that being said, let's do some size comparisons. And for comparison, first off, can we just talk about how cool he looks right there? Like, God, I love this figure. First off, here he is with the Kingdom Cyclonus. So you can see all of the different remold they have done. Completely new head, completely new torso. These part of the arms are reused. These part of the arms are completely different. This part of the legs is the same. You can see my Cyclonus looks like he's actually yellowed a bit there, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Doesn't really matter because I like this figure better anyway. But yes, the bottom legs are completely different. I will say that Cyclonus does weigh a little bit more, so his plastic quality is probably a little bit better, which doesn't surprise me, him being a remold, but I still greatly prefer, I greatly prefer Metalhawk. He's just so much more interesting, so much more fun. I definitely prefer this figure, but this is still, Kingdom Cyclonus. And here he is with Legacy Evolution Tarn and Leo Prime, so you can see how he scales with some other Legacy Evolution Voyagers right there. And then here is also Legacy Evolution Hotshot, so you can see how he scales with a nice deluxe. And here he is with Earthrise Optimus Prime, just because everybody's got one, right? And last but not least, here he is with Great Rimaru-sama. For the transformation, this might be a hot take, but I cannot even put into words how much more fun this transformation is to do than Cyclonus. I can't even put into words how much more satisfying this transformation is to do to Cyclonus. We're gonna get to the transformation. Transformation is an absolute blast. So first up, you're just gonna want to flip his fist in just like that. Then we're gonna take these wings, fold them up over here, bring them up, tab them into these arms. Same on this side, boom, boom. Just like that, we'll bring those up, get them out of the way. We'll take his sword off for now. You wanna take the legs and you just wanna go boom, just like that, and then in, super duper easy. Boom, boom, much easier than Cyclonus in my personal opinion. You wanna flip these down down, so you have clearance to lift this piece up, bring that up, fold that in, bring that down, and same on this side, bring that up, fold that in, bring that down, tab these guys together, like that, make sure that's up as much as it can. Flip around here, you're going to untab the torso, bring it down just like that, untab these arms, and then just bring them up one little click, you'll just see them kind of thoop up, and then you just want to fold this piece down, fold this piece around, and unlike Cyclonus with that big ass thing and that super complicated thing, this one just has one little flip. Now you might think that's a bad thing, but it's super duper satisfying when you actually have it in hand. Fold that down right there, rotate that entire backpack piece to the back, and then fold those pieces back down, tab in that backpack piece, bring in the arms here, and then unlike Cyclonus, you just gotta tab them in right there. So just bring them up, or down rather, and then just tab them in to that little slot right there. And there you have Metalhawk in his alt mode. Okay, look, let's call a spade here. This is a goofy-ass jet. We've got this really skinny nose cone with this big-ass block separating it from the wings. These huge wings that look very, very ridiculous. This huge back piece, this just tapers inward to this super, super goofy and weird jet. And this may be my favorite jet mode of all time. I love this jet. The first time I transformed this figure and put it in jet mode, you know what? I'll just let past me show you what it was. There. And then same on this side. Get that down. Whoa, look at this crazy ass jet. Man, I dig this. Bro, I dig this jet mode. Look at that, man. That's a funky ass jet. That's a really, really funky jet, but I'm kind of here for it. Look at that crazy thing. I love this jet mode so much. I love everything about it. I love how massive it feels. I love how perfectly it's all secured together. I absolutely adore this transformation so much more. I love this nose cone and how you only have this one little flip, and it is so satisfying. I love how the arms just clip in right here, that you just bring them down, and then they just tab into this one little thing right here. It all sits so flush, unlike Cyclonus. There's nothing popping out or anything. You do lose the landing gear, but hey, it's a sacrifice that I am willing to make for such an amazing jet mode. You might think this jet mode looks like shit, and I guarantee you if you get this thing in hand, you're going to love this jet mode because it's just awesome. It feels like a leader class figure in this mode, dude. It feels like it got so much bigger in this mode, just like Cyclonus, admittedly, but God, I love this. Admittedly, Cyclonus' jet mode is pretty fucking awesome, but like I said, this very, very well may be my favorite jet mode of all time. I cannot even put into words how much I fucking love this thing. If you want to put blast effects on it, there are these little pegs in the back right there, which is really, really, really awesome. You do have a very nice red nose cone picked out right there. Beautiful sculpting lines all throughout the figure. The bottom, yeah, it's pretty obvious that he's a robot under there, but it still looks pretty fucking awesome. Love the Autobot logo right there. Again, loses the landing gear. And if you need storage for his sword, you have this really, really awesome spot right here where you have these two little slots right there and these two tabs, and you can plug the sword on right there, which I actually think looks really cool. Like it's some kind of design on the top of a plane. So it's perfect weapon storage in my opinion because it doesn't look bad. Like honestly, I think it actually just completes the jet mode in a way. But if you want to make it look a little bit less, if you want to make it a little bit better, if you think it looks a little bit bad just plonked on the top, you can also, my god, this has never given me so much hard time. Oh my god, pop off. You can plug it on backwards, which will make it look like that. I think this also looks pretty acceptable, but I honestly think that this freaking weapon storage, good lord, let it go, man. I honestly think that this looks really, really good. Like, I honestly think it looks like a design on top of the jet. I really think this actually looks pretty darn good. And of course, these things, I mean, if you want to, you can take these off and plug them under the wings if you want and give him some extra firepower, but I really, really love how they look on that backpack piece. But yeah, they do look cool under those wings there, but it makes the back look a little bit goofy. Like this, I actually kind of don't really like the look of this, but when you put these on, oh my god, it does so much. Like, look how much cooler it looks, man. I just absolutely love these little freaking guns that you can just put on his thing, and you can just use them as guns in the robot mode. It's just absolutely glorious. You can just leave them on him indefinitely and then use them as some really cool little weapons in the robot mode. Good lord, I love everything about this figure, and this vehicle mode is no exception. Let's do some size comparisons. Comparison here is Kingdom Cyclonus, just so you can see how different these alt modes are, man. These figures feel like completely different from one each other. Like, it's pretty amazing the amount of retooling done here. I will say I vastly prefer the transformation on Thunderhawk. It is just so much more smooth, doesn't fight you as much. This guy with all of his super tight joints, which, I mean, yes, it's nice that he has tight joints, but it makes the transformation really unfun, honestly. And you have to do the whole cockpit before you put anything else away. With this guy, you're not really limited. You just pull out the cockpit, flip it, and then you can just close everything up. In my opinion, this one's just a lot more fun. This one's definitely still pretty solid, though. But he does lock together a lot better, in my opinion. Like, this back piece here, much more flush. These pieces actually sit where they're supposed to go. Where Cyclonus, these pieces are always trying to come out, and you can never get them to sit right. And then also, I also can't get that piece to also sit flush. Not huge deals, but I did want to point them out. And here's another goofy-ass Legacy Jet, G-Axis, man. This should put in the nail in the coffin that I just absolutely love goofy-ass jets, because I absolutely loved this alt mode, and I absolutely love this alt mode, man. At what point have you seen enough F-15s and F-22s where you just go, I just want a fucking colorful parrot machine and the weirdest jet you've ever seen. And then here's a Kingdom Mirage for one last little deluxe comparison. Okay, real quick before I get into my final thoughts, I'm recording this afterwards because I just had a thought, a brilliant thought that is going to absolutely, like, to all of you out there watching this who love your Kingdom Cyclonus and have hated this video and you don't care about this figure and you're like, fuck you, DK, I love my Kingdom Cyclonus and all that. That's fine, by the way. You can love your Kingdom Cyclonus, it's fine. I'll just take this one, you can have that one, it's fine. But I wanted to throw this in there because I realized this. If you were to watch this review and then you go back and watch my old Kingdom Cyclonus review, the level of enthusiasm, the level of interest between them will be gargantuan. My original Cyclonus review is so goddamn boring because I couldn't think of anything to say about the fucking thing. I literally could not think of anything to say about that figure. Go watch, if you want to, go watch a review. It's not me trying to, because I hate that review. I don't want that review to get views. But if you really, really, really want to know how much I love this thing way more than Cyclonus, and why I like it more than Cyclonus, literally just go watch that old Kingdom Cyclonus review and you will be like, okay, yeah. That whole review was like 7 minutes of me going, perfect? It was so boring. I don't like that old review at all, but if you were to watch that side by side with this review, the level of enthusiasm, the more talking points in here, it would obliterate that thing. You could probably fill up the runtime of that Kingdom Cyclonus review with me just telling you all the fun stuff about this figure. Got these super satisfying legs again, man. By far the best figure to ever use this engineering, and good lord, it's so freaking satisfying. I just absolutely love it. Love these clicks for those freaking hands. That is beautiful. These beautiful hinges right here. Good lord, this may be one of the best transformations of freaking the past like 5 years of Transformers. And with that, let's jump into my final thoughts on Legacy Metalhawk. Good God, I love this figure so much. This guy is going on this shelf as soon as I turn this camera off, dude. I love this guy so much. It's so great that I also learned about the character, and I absolutely love the character now as well. I love this guy's head sculpt so much. I just love the way he looks. I love how vibrant and fun and interesting he looks. I love his weapons and how you have these guns that you can just leave them on him indefinitely until you want to take them off and use them. It is absolutely glorious, giving me flashbacks to Studio Series Galvatron, man. I absolutely love that. This transformation is an absolute fucking blast. It is so fun. You can do it so fast, it's ridiculous. Honestly, what I showed you in the video, it was I think it was less than a minute of a transformation. You could absolutely get it faster than that. It is such a satisfying and smooth process. I love everything about it. The sword is awesome. The weapon storage as well is just glorious. How you can just plug everything on him, never get rid of him. Even in the jet mode, I think the sword looks really, really cool, just like plugged on top of the jet. I honestly think it looks like a design of it. The posability is great. You can get him in a lot of great poses. I just think this figure is fucking awesome. And in my personal opinion, this thing smashes the Cyclonus. It's just so much more fun. It's just so much more fun than it. And I do absolutely love how much easier the legs are to transform on this thing. It is ridiculous. This is honestly probably the reason why I never ever touch Cyclonus, is because of his legs. They're so unfun to mess with, both trying to use them to pose him and trying to transform him. It's so unfun. But these, dude, I can't keep my hands off this thing. I have literally had this thing on my nightstand for the past like 4 days, dude. I can't stop messing with this figure. Is this thing going to be one of my favorites of the year? Possibly, definitely, possibly. He's definitely in there right now, but there's a lot of figures coming out this year that I am very, very, very excited for. I absolutely love this guy. I cannot say it loud enough. If you have not picked this guy up, but you think you're going to pick him up, cannot recommend him enough. Honestly, cannot. Even if you don't know anything about the character, go look up the character because you might find you absolutely love the character. I looked it up after getting the figure, so yeah. I love this figure so much. I cannot say that loud enough. This is probably my favorite Voyager of Legacy so far. He's definitely my favorite between Tarn, Leo Prime, and him. He is definitely my favorite so far. I love him, dude. I am giving Legacy Evolution Metalhawk an S tier. I know I probably should take off a couple points for like the big old gaps right there and the only 90-degree bends of elbows, but I can't. I cannot stress enough how much I love this figure, dude. I can't. For me, he is an S tier. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe give me a like and subscribe for some more Transformer reviews in the future, and let me know your thoughts on Transformers Legacy Evolution Metalhawk in the comment section down below. And with that being said, this is D. Gilladine, signing out.